What does your involvement in the community look like?
I don't really know. With the pandemic and everything that happened, I get a lot more feedback from people now that the typical routine has been disrupted, to take a look at how things that might not have seemed impactful are big, and how much people miss the human contact, the spirit, or just being together, whether it's a whole group or whether it's just a couple people. We've had to go to Zoom on some formats also, and we know that although it's a very good thing to do, we found that it's not as effective, and even in a short time. But to look back at what has been helpful or what we've done, none of it, I never knew it was going to be that way. I never thought it would happen. Certainly didn't think I could stay sober myself. And in doing so, the other people started to grow too, or the people that were receiving the help and chose to help themselves. It's like that big snowball that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And it's been, as far as what goes on, I don't think I want to know what we do all the time, because then I might start thinking differently about it. It's becoming just a way of life for us. Max, I stay involved because of the benefits that I receive from helping others. One of the greatest returns on this for me is not only being sober, is that every time I help another person, I know that I help myself. Just with the changes that we see in our essential day-to-day life, the grocery store and stuff like this, I think the biggest thing is people just need a smile, and now we got to put a mask over our face, or the thing that they need a kind word, or just holding the doors open for somebody. I've seen some of the littlest things come with the biggest benefit or the biggest payoff, because it seems like if we're not struggling in an area of our lives, we can certainly use a lift, in any way, and it could be the simplest form. I love the fact that one of the things that we do, and we've learned this from Kurt Warner. We'll buy somebody's dinner without knowing it. That's the key is to keep it secret. So we refer to them as victims, and we'll buy them. We'll pick out a victim in a restaurant, and we'll buy them dinner when we can, when we have the money. We're blessed to be able to do this, and we find that to be very touching. And we don't know about that person. We just know for us, we leave feeling uplifted. We feel better, and that's something that we've been doing for a very long time. And I learned that from football player, and that's been really neat. But the recovery community is a lot closer to our hearts. We lost a kid the other day that was at the float trip, and it was a week later, and he died from an overdose. So. I think any form of help is good and beneficial. Sometimes the seed takes a while to grow.
When we hear back from people, that later on down the line that, we were someplace one time and at a meeting out of state and sharing at a meeting, and we heard a young lady at the end of our sharing say, "I remember you guys from 6 years ago at my very first HA meeting in St. Louis." Those kinds of things really take us by surprise when we realize that, wow, somebody was paying attention, somebody really, somebody remembered us from that or him from that. That was kind of cool. Those kinds of things that we don't expect. Those are the kinds of things that stand out.
We have a hard enough time asking for help. And, on that level is a whole different side of the coin. But what about people just asking to help? We don't see that a lot either, and being in recovery, I've been told not to say no. So I had to get tricked into it, and that's basically what I did. Or like I told you earlier, I had to be a little mad about things, and that's how I did it. Because that's one of the things that makes this so special to us, is that a lot of this stuff wasn't my idea. It was either out of desperation or out of my own life kind of falling apart, and looking for an adjustment and looking for a way out, or to be really driven by a higher power or a God of your understanding or just your own spirit is what I found to be some of the greatest help of all, And whenever you connect to another person's spirit. You know, it's like you can't go wrong. And, you know, any form of help is beneficial to everybody. Everybody wins.
Take the time to listen to people instead of doing all the talking. That helps too. Sometimes people just want you to hear them out. You know, you get parents or, you know, don't know what to do. Sometimes all they want is just somebody to cry to, listen to them. That's it. Sometimes that's all they need. And it makes a big difference. Makes a big difference because there's a lot of people out there with judgment, you know, especially with the harder drugs. You know, people get the alcohol. People don't always understand the kids with the heroin. You get a lot of judgment out there. And sometimes parents are afraid to open up to other people, you know, because of the judgment they get, the stigma that goes along with it. Sometimes the parents just need somebody to listen to them, you know, without being afraid. That makes a big difference too.
Heroes, you know, the anybody that came before me in 12-step recovery that passed it on. You know, there's no greater, you know, the gift of giving is probably at its greatest elevation when it's my own personal experience and it's worked for me. You know, it doesn't mean you have to do it. It doesn't mean that you're required or that's the only way. But it's to be tried and true and to be passed on free of charge, I think is one of the coolest things in the world. You know, AA turned 85 yesterday. You know, and the gift that keeps giving. You know, and I think that one-on-one human interaction that happened 85 years ago still works today. And it doesn't have to be about alcohol. It doesn't have to be about drug addiction. You know, from what we've seen is that most of it doesn't start there anyway. It all starts in our youth or in our troubled years or our really hard years, you know. And I think that's one of the things that we oversight. This is why I love the NCADA about taking it to the schools, you know, because I think that's going to be a solution to a lot of this. So.
Is there anyone else that you'd like to thank?
The NCADA, go back a lot of years with these guys, and everybody here is phenomenal. Everybody here is great. I also like to thank the volleyball team. That's the Hope Group. I'm pretty sure they had something to do with this. But the people that just take a moment to help others, you know, and the people that ask for help, because I think that's very important too. The people that have asked us for help, they've been our gift. You know, and the ability to be there for them is it's a real blessing.
It is. Yep. It is. And it is.
Thank you.
Well, Joe, it's my honor on behalf of NCADA to give you our 2020 Volunteer Award in appreciation of the time, resources, and contributions dedicated to reducing and preventing the harms of alcohol and other drugs in our community. Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, sir. Very much, Max. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Couldn't do without you.